Hello.
Hello?
Oh yeah, there we go. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm actually really excited for this. A little
Oh
bit
yeah.
nervous, but mainly excited.
Oh, don't be nervous. Did you know that I'm nervous every time I stream?
Sorry?
I'm nervous every time I stream. I don't know why, but it's for sure. Um, but yeah, do you want to introduce yourself? We'll look at your portfolio while you're talking about how you kind of got into 3D and like where you're at with everything, and then we'll just start going through the stuff that's on your portfolio.
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. So, I guess, hi everyone. I'm John, and I'm currently a student in my last semester of university. I've been doing 3D for about 2-ish years, and I've started focusing primarily on 3D environmental art the beginning of this year, so the beginning of 2022. And I guess my goals are right now is to one day, or hopefully enter the industry as either a junior or intern environmental artist. I guess the main point I wanted this portfolio review session was to see like where I'm at in terms of achieving that goal and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah,
Cool. Okay. So, I mean, saying that you're shooting towards environment art and then seeing four environment thumbnails is a very good start. um, so, uh, oh man, I don't know if you were watching the stream and I was saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get a call at some point," and I just got to buzz the person in.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I was there. I saw that. Yeah, so
oh
you
my
can.
gosh, I totally just missed the call.
Oh no.
Let's tell him. I'm gonna tell him to try again. But let's look at the. I'm gonna literally be doing three things now. I'm looking at chat. I'm looking at your portfolio and my phone. So, would you like to talk about? Oh, they're coming up. This is good. This is good. Easy. Okay. Would you like to talk about Restaurant Lux? So this is 7 months ago as well. So like, what was the goal of this, as well as kind of what was the? How do you feel about the end product and whatnot?
Yeah, so for this project, this was actually started about like last year. So I started it maybe in 2021, in November, for a class. And the end goal was to like make like some sort of environment, and this was a group project, so I was working with two other people to complete this. This was actually my first time ever using Unreal Engine and just doing the entire workflow of getting into like doing 3D environments. Um, so there's a lot of shaky stuff in terms of uh, I didn't really know certain techniques I was supposed to be using for
Right.
this project. I focused primarily on the modeling aspect of this project and some of the lighting, so I didn't do many of the textures at all. But yeah, this is actually a project I was considering taking off my portfolio because it's actually kind of before 2022 when I started trying to really focus on environmental art and like focus on the
Hmm.
techniques needed to like do everything I should be doing instead. So it's kind of outdated in that sense. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the final product came out, but definitely I would have done things a lot differently, especially from all the stuff I learned since then.
I think that happens to everyone. Like, you're always going to be a little bit out of date. Like,
Yeah.
every piece that you do, the next piece you do is almost always better because you learn something from the previous one, and it just kind of keeps carrying forward. Man, there's a lot
Yeah.
of details in here. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say you need to take it off just yet. I think it's important to like. Let me see if you. Oh yeah, you've got them linked in here. Whenever the text gets really long here, it can be hard to uh, realize that there's profiles linked in here. But this is, I mean, this is cool, man. You said that you were. Did you say you were doing the? Man, my brain was so distracted. Did you say you were doing a lot of the lighting?
Yeah, I did I think all the lighting for this
Okay.
scene, as well as I guess I'd say like half of the modeling.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, this is my first time ever using Unreal, so definitely some of the lighting is a bit iffy, I'd say, but yeah,
Yeah, you learn stuff as you go. Like you're familiar with like IES profiles for lights and whatnot, right?
a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Because if that's usually, so I'm not a lighting artist, and that's usually the first thing I like to make sure people know about when they're using lights, is
Mhm.
because it does so much for adding like just some extra detail and a little bit of texture to just what's happening with the lighting. But
Yeah.
I really like it was I think it was said in chat by Trax. I really like the ceiling and just kind of how that was approached. I think in here it's a lot of point lights, right? And I think if you were, this is UE5, I believe.
This is UE4.
UE4, okay. And IES, is that a light function? Is asked in chat. It's basically it's just a texture. It's kind of like it's a texture that is put on top of the light that kind of gives you the profile of like what the light bulb is that's being used, or the light source that's being used, because they all kind of give off a different shape and variant to how the light actually comes out of the source. It's not just the bulb; it's like how the frame of the around the light and all that works, and how light kind of tightens up in some areas and then becomes really wide in others, and you get these kind of darker areas in the way the light comes out. But that's my very poor environment artist way of explaining it.
No, I think it was great.
But I mean, dude, for a first scene and a group project as well, it sounds like there was a ton that was learned throughout the process of this one.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a great learning experience. It definitely kind of like influenced me to pursue environmental art more. So yeah.
And then you have this the next one. Is this also a group project or?
No, all the rest of the projects are like individual.
Okay.
So like just me.
So and this one was 8 months ago. So I guess this one was done before or like right after the group project, maybe.
Yeah, this is pretty much right after. Yeah, I posted the restaurant one kind of late, so that's why the time might look a bit off, I think. But this was basically after the restaurant.
Right. Man, this is cool. There's like, I like the attention to detail and like where you're focusing everything. Like everything is looking at this chest, and all the gold is kind of drawing you in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
Yeah, I talked to a lot.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I talked to a lot of artists, and they led me to change it a lot to focus on the chest more. So
yeah,
I get props to them.
Yeah, dude, feedback is like everything when it comes to that type of stuff. It's like you only have your eyes, you know, and if you can bring other people in to look at the content as well, you'll start to get other perspectives, and just other people's experiences will affect how they perceive your scene. So when I look at this scene, I think that the only thing that really weirds me out is scale. Like I would say it's scale, and then we can talk about the lighting right after that. So when you look at the size of the chest, I understand the size of the coins, and that kind of gives me a sense of scale of what I'm holding. And then we all see crates all the time, like boxes and stuff in games, and then you've got the what is it? Oh my god, I'm gonna forget what's the name of that. The
steering wheel.
The steering wheel. It's not the steering wheel. I don't know what it's called. I'm sure someone in chat will know immediately. That's how it works. But yeah, so all of those elements seem much smaller than I'm expecting. Like, you know, you've got the lock on the front of the chest. Usually you imagine like you just grab the lock and it's like the size of your hand, and then you put the key in and stuff. And knowing like you've got a globe here of the planet, and it's just like, okay, this needs to be that feels like it needs to be larger. And some of the crates feel scaled down. Like if you've got a crate that's that small, it's likely going to be made out of the same wood pieces, right? So the wood pieces would still be the same width, just shorter in order to make a smaller box, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and then I mean, I think it's scale, and then getting a sense of like that gold, I imagine, is glowing quite a bit, or it gives the sense that it's glowing. I think you've got a light on it that maybe is popping it a bit more.
Yeah.
Getting that kind of glow onto the walls, it could be even just point lights that are kind of nearby the wall to kind of just simulate the kind of aura of gold just calling you, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you treat it like that, you can look at the barrels, which I also feel like are really small. The barrels are full of gold as well, and you could almost treat the barrels almost like a light source. Not so much, like it's a very stylized direction going with this. The helm. Well, I mean that's take the helm. I mean that's like taking the front of the. They call it the wheel in Sea of Thieves. All right. So I don't know if you're watching the stream and then looking at chat, but feel free to react to anything that's happening in chat. And also, like, if you see something on stream, if you're not watching the stream, I can stream it to you through
I'm
the
watching the
Discord.
stream.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the other thing I guess is like I didn't realize until Vince mentioned the water. I didn't realize the water was that close to the like it's actually filling into the ship.
Yeah. It's
So
like sunken
yeah,
or like floating on top of the water, kind of.
yeah,
Was the idea?
yeah. So that edge of the water, like you don't really realize it's there. Um,
Okay.
I think if it was a different angle and you had the water coming in from the side or like left or right, and then coming in, that could help. Uh,
Oh, okay.
because then once I noticed that, I saw that oh, there's a barrel floating out there, and I was like, oh wow, the water's actually really close. And then I realized that the water was here.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm really seeing. I know that the chest is really cool because there's a lot of interaction happening with the way the roughness is and just the attributes of the materials themselves. I think taking those, not those attributes, but taking that same kind of mindset towards the wood materials. Right now, it looks like it's just relatively. There's a little bit of information in the roughness for the wood, but it feels really diffused. Like it's really
Yeah.
rough, and maybe it needs like, especially with the water being so close, there's opportunities to like add like splash decals, or just like shift the roughness to be a little bit more damp in certain areas. You could kind of like use like an ambient occlusion pass to do that. Um, and
It's more
then
like
yeah,
roughness variation on like the wood, you think would be better?
some what? Say that again. Sorry.
So like more like roughness variations across like the wood and the scene.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want it to be like, because if every piece varies a little too much from each other, then it starts to become this really busy thing. What's happening really
Yeah.
really well right now is that the panels are just kind of hidden, like they're there, but because they're all very similar, they're not really pulling your attention, and so that's a benefit to how unified they are. Um,
Hmm.
but maybe just adding like a layer of roughness difference in the logic of it. So like if it was a gradient of dampness that starts from the bottom and then becomes less damp as it goes up. And that can be done with either
Yeah.
decals or like if you wanted to do another UV set and just apply it that way.
Yeah,
Um,
sure thing.
yeah. Yeah, I noticed down here too, you've got the water and there's a little bit of this foam effect you've got going on.
Yeah.
How was that setting that up?
That was my first time using like materials or making like a shader in
Yeah.
Unreal Engine, so that was a learning experience. It took a lot of time to figure it out. Um, but yeah, it was a bit finicky though. So like, I wish I got it like more like across like the rim of like that like water line in the ship.
Yeah,
But
I was curious why it
yeah,
doesn't show up there.
yeah,
I guess it's just, oh, I see it now a little bit. It's just not as bright as in the image below, which I think is good. If it was brighter, man, it'd really be pulling your attention away from the chest.
yeah.
But
Something there was
yeah,
like the angle. It wasn't as like sharp maybe, like when it was going up the the wood. So
hmm.
that might have been the cause, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit about experimenting with it, right? So like, for example, the shape language that you have happening on the that foamy edge, or the shape that simulates foam, it feels like the shapes are quite large, and maybe if that was tiling a bit more, you could get a little bit more frequency in it, and then it starts to pop out a little bit. Uh,
Full
but
effects,
yeah,
you mean? Okay, yeah.
yeah, just like the foam edge, it's like it looks like it's larger blob shapes. Because I'm not sure how you're creating the shapes. I know that like you're using like a depth fade to figure out where it's happening, but like the shapes that break up the overall shape of the foam itself, I think if
Mhm.
that's like a mask or something, just tiling it more could give you a bit of an effect.
Okay, I see.
But yeah, I mean, this seems pretty cool. The back area feels like it's um, all very like the light ray that's happening there is maybe. Let me see if I can get it into Photoshop and show you. So like the light ray is bringing the value um, very similar between the front wall and the back wall, even though the back wall is further back. If that makes
Mhm.
sense. So it's like you want to like punch that information back when possible, so that way you can really show. I'll just kind of doodle it a little bit. It won't be accurate or anything. Um, just to illustrate what I'm talking about, I think I just yeah no that's not gonna work. Um, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Is it really will help you separate out elements from the rest. So if I grab these and just like darken it, for example, and then we'll just fade this off to the side. Getting that separation, even if it's really subtle, will help separate the wall from the back area,
Yeah,
and I think that would
no,
help
that's a great
a
point.
whole lot with
Okay.
readability. Yeah, see,
Hmm.
there's so many interesting shapes happening in here. Um, like this one, I assume these are gaps.
Yeah, that's a gap.
Yeah, these are really nice like details that you benefit from if you notice them.
Hmm.
And then the
So
wall
like
just
making it more prominent. Yeah.
yeah, it gives you the layering that you're looking for. I guess if the camera's moving around, you really see it.
Okay, gotcha.
But cool. I think we can move on to the. I spent a bit of time on that one. Um, would you like to talk about this one? This is the ancestral scene. Oh,
Yeah.
it's from
So
Tim as
this is
well. Yeah.
yeah, it was very nice. Um, yeah. So this project it was a lot focused on making something more outdoorsy and a lot of focus on foliage. 'Cause I've never done that before. I've never tried using grass or making like trees or anything like that. And I also
Mm.
wanted to focus more on like my sculpting ability here with like the rocks and the trees. So I really wanted to focus on that area. And that was like I guess the main point of the project. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I first of all I really like the grass that you've done because you've got the
Mhm.
gradients that not only Tim kind of does in his work, but also just how the shapes are large but then small, and then there's these nice like light gradients, and then there's some like cooler colors, and then it goes back into like these greens. There's a lot of stuff happening in the grass, which was really nice. Um, Immortals Phoenix Rising vibes in chat is what they're. Oh, this shot's really good. Wait, what's the difference here? I'm trying to see what the. Oh, I see. This one's just more of like compositionally. I feel like this pillar, if it was a little bit more to the right, framing wise, it'll probably be a bit stronger. But
Gotcha.
this shot's really nice. But it feels blank right here, you know. So I see what you were doing with like trying to bring these like foreground elements in. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but otherwise, I mean, oh, this is nice with the breakdown here. I'm always a big fan of these, where you see like this I people call them all types of things. Like I call it like a gym breakdown, where you basically just have like a shot that shows all of the stuff. Uh, yeah, this is really cool. So this was 4 months ago. Um, how did you go about doing your foliage for like the trees?
Yeah, so I use Maya for my modeling. So what I did is I used a mesh uh operation, and I placed the billboard leaves, and I used an alpha to get the leaf shape across that. So the mesh object was like shaped in the shape of the how I wanted the tree, and then I basically across all like the faces or vertices, I would put the billboard effects on it, and that's how
Right.
I kind of did it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's like you're volumizing your normals. You're like stealing all of the normal information from a volume. At least that's what it looks like, because you're getting like the
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
light wrapping in your normals. So I assume all the
Oh
normals are
yeah.
pointing out.
Yeah, they're pointing out. Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Oh,
get the
nice. Some
shape of
sculpting
the.
too.
Mhm.
Nice. Yeah, there's some nice stuff in here. Oh, what's going on here? RVT blending. Nice. Yeah, dude, RVT is dope. You can do so
Yeah,
much with it. It can be a
there
little
is a point in this
finicky.
project.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a point in this project I didn't know about it, and I had such a hard time getting the grass to be like the color I wanted and like all that kind of stuff. And when I learned about it, it like saved me so much.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden your mind just like blew open. Oh, it's like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
universe just pops out of your head.
Hmm.
Dude, this is super cool. I always like these as well. The compositional time lapses where you show the progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
early
So
on,
do you
it
like?
looks like you had quite a bit of a idea of what you wanted to look like. Let me see what the how close it is to the concept. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, yeah, that's this is really nice, man.
Yeah. Tim was very nice during the whole process. He gave me some feedback during the thing, so
Oh,
very
cool.
appreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, super friendly.
Yeah.
Tim's very friendly. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
is there I'm noticing there's stylized work throughout your stuff. Is that kind of the direction you're wanting to go in?
Oh yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
really like stylized work, and it's kind of my, I guess what I like. Yeah. So I want to focus primarily on that.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, with this one, this is from
This
another
one's.
concept. I think early on this is a really good idea. So just kind of like basically you're trying to replicate what you see in a concept or in an image.
Yeah.
So you definitely put more color in yours. Like this
Yeah.
one's much more subdued.
Hmm.
I wonder if like if I go back to this one. So the grass in this one is much finer.
Hmm.
Do you want to talk about this one before I kind of dive into it?
Yeah. So I guess the reason I kind of made it more like colorful and like it changed a few things is I felt like sometimes when I used concepts, I would try too hard to like make it like pixel perfect exact for the thing instead of trying to translate it well into 3D. So that's why I think some of the things like differ pretty differently. But I also
Mm.
kind of wanted to like translate the concept into 3D and like my sort of like those the way I like to stylize things. So it's like the colors and everything else, I like to try to translate it into a way like I kind of like
Yeah.
would perceive it as if it were 3D. I'm not sure if that's
Yeah,
like a really
so
bad thing to do.
no, I mean that's totally fine cuz I like following a concept exactly every time is kind of like you're not really exploring yourself, right? Like a concept should give you the direction and you can make it exactly if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's really cool when someone can like go in and try and make some adjustments to try and make it more of theirs, or just like what would feel better for translating it to 3D. Because like you're saying, with the going from 2D to 3D can be a very different. It's like a different beast.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when I look at this compositionally, I think it's all right. There's some issues when I see like, oh man, this is super high res. Let me I'm just gonna I'll put it in Photoshop again. Maybe I'll make a new. Oh nice. What? Why is that? Wait. Oh that's weird. Is it oh it does have like a so you went for like a like a boxed ratio.
Yeah.
Is there what was the reason for that? Out of
Uh,
curiosity.
the re I tried to mimic the ratio of the reference is why I tried to do that.
Ah,
So that's why I
okay.
did it like that. To try to be more original to a reference, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if like let me see what the reference looks like again. Cuz I mean that's pretty close. Um I think when it comes to like the thing that you nailed in the concept that I'm like is this top the top tangent where it gets really close to the edge.
Yeah.
Like it's happening in the concept as well.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to like it's it sounds weird, but if you were to pull it back like this, and then I'll just like
Mm.
I'll just kind of grab some stuff and move things around. Um, if you were doing this, I think that could be stronger compositionally, because then you give all this space for the building to breathe, and that does wonders. I'm just doing this with my mouse, so don't mind me. Uh,
You're fine.
um, but yeah, I think like giving you all of that room would be really nice, because it just
Okay.
makes it much easier to kind of establish the scene,
Hmm.
recreate the fence, get out of here, Exile. I just use machine learning, like real time. But
Yeah.
you can see what I mean though. Like it
Hmm.
instantly starts to have like more character than what was there originally,
Hmm.
um, and it just expands on the whole shot. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, no, this is
Okay.
this is a really cool. I'm not gonna doodle anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, it's like I could just sit there and keep going. But some of the details that I'm seeing in the materials that called out to me were like this edge, like you've got like a seam that's on the roof here. I don't know if that bugged you at all,
Yeah,
like this
I
guy.
wasn't sure how to like approach that when I did this project, the shingles. I knew I wanted to like make like a tileable texture because this project was a lot of focus for me, like learning Substance Designer and using texture and using the materials and textures to try to like be more efficient in my like building.
Yeah.
But I wasn't exactly sure how to get like the shingle effect so I can get that like nice like silhouette. So I ended up like placing little like disc on the side throughout the mesh. I don't
Oh,
know
I
if that
see.
was the best. I don't know if that was the best approach.
I mean, I think with the way these are textured, you might be able to. I mean, it's very tedious, but you could add extra vertices, and with the UVs locked, you could like
Mhm.
pull pull the color out further. Um,
Oh,
I think what I would have done is I think I would have just started cutting this out, like line up the edge and then just cut out that
okay.
that strip, and then that's you're basically mapping to the texture instead of mapping geometry to the texture. You're
Hmm.
cutting there. So if you were to cut there and then move that to here, that would probably do it, and you wouldn't even have to worry about like how it's all lining up. So instead of trying to like fight the texture, you just you just roll with it.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So I would add like more geometry, is what you're saying, to like get that effect to the base model.
yeah, because like you can
Oh,
just
okay.
follow the texture itself, and it's kind of
Gotcha.
working in some areas here, like where they really line up, and where they're really lining up, you're like, oh man, if it just worked all the way up, it would be really nice. Um,
Yeah.
the other areas where it's like where you're using this what is it this strip here, that's really
Hmm.
good. Um, you're doing it again here, I think, and honestly, you could just cut out like once the texture gets low enough, just do a cutout
Gotcha.
following the texture shape, and then you would be fine there. And
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, but let's see what else we're looking at. So the wood color, for example. Oh man, we're already at 31 minutes. We gotta end here in a minute. The wood color I think is fine. It's more of the value. So like if I press Control Y, you
Hmm.
can see how dark the wood is.
Yeah.
If you could lighten that up,
Hmm.
you would it would blend in much better. Like for
Oh, okay.
example, on the door, that's pretty. That's getting closer. It's darker than here, right? Like the bottom part here is pretty dark, and this is pretty dark. Let me see if I can like. I'll just grab an area and see what happens to it. Basically, just copy it and then paste it. And if we go and just look at the value of it, maybe somewhere around there,
Okay.
that could do a lot.
Gotcha.
Let's see what happened though. Yeah, see, it's quite a bit lighter. It's almost the same lightness as the door. Um,
Mm.
and you'd want a little bit of contrast from this detail to the door, so maybe these can stay dark. But it's
Yeah.
just trying to tie all of that palette together to try and just kind of get it to, because right now there's a lot of contrast, and if you can get that to work, then it'll be a whole lot stronger for it.
Okay, gotcha. That's good to know.
And this one was done 2 days ago. You posted this. Nice. Congrats.
Yeah.
Feels
Thank you.
good, man. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I feel like we need to cut the call a little short, but it has been 33 minutes. Is there? Do you have any questions before we jump out?
I guess like real quickly, like I guess like my main question for this whole like maybe biggest question is like since I'm
Mm,
trying to enter like the industry, where you thought my level was at in terms of like getting to there, or like and also like what my biggest weaknesses are in terms of any improvement.
right. Okay. So
Generally.
yeah. So I think skill wise, you're getting pretty up there. Like on like a scale of 1 to 10, I would say you're sitting at maybe like a 6 or a 7. And like 5, I wouldn't say is bad or anything like that. It's just like on the scale of like you're building up to quite a good spot. You've got a lot of details that are happening. I think weakness wise, it's more of the composition and framing, and then
Mm.
exploring more with height differences and whatnot. Like we zoomed out on this shot here. If that was on a hill, instead of like being on like a like it's there's not enough in the shot to know if you're on a hill or not, and having the ground go up and down or have like areas that are elevated and areas that are lower, it's like exploring
Mhm.
the terrain a little bit more. I think
Mhm.
can help you build a stronger composition.
Okay.
But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's good
then
to know.
it's these smaller details. Like once you solve these in a cleaner way, I think the way
Hmm.
that you're approaching all of this stuff is pretty nice. It's just a matter of like, I guess if we looked at the roughness, all the roughness is very similar, and it's stylized or like, yeah, stylized work. It can be difficult to separate those out. So whenever you have the opportunity, like with these pots, for example, the roughness value is
Hmm.
nice to see. And if the roughness value between like stucco wall and the stone wall, if those were just a little
Mm.
separate from each other, that would help a lot.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, pushing PBR even if it's stylized is nice.
That's good to know. Thank you.
But cool. Yeah, if you have any other questions or if you feel like there's a question that we didn't really get a clear answer on, just message me. And like
Mhm.
because we have our chat that we've made for all the portfolios for this group. So
Yeah.
if you have any questions, just ask in there, and
Okay.
I can try my best to answer it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for this. This was really insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your portfolio.
Of course. Thank you.